I feel like I've been on a heater lately with these videos. Everyone wants to know if now is the right time to buy a house. The question really never goes away. It shows up in good markets, bad markets, high rate environments, low rate environments, and every time it shows up, people assume there's a correct answer. There isn't. There is no perfect time to buy a home. There has never been. There is only the right time for you, given your numbers, your timeline, and your tolerance for uncertainty. The idea of a perfect time is one of the most expensive myths in housing because it convinces people that clarity somewhere exists in the future, right? So they just wait long enough that conditions will align, fear will disappear, and the decision will be obvious. The moment almost never comes. Instead, what happens is this. People wait for confirmation. They wait for rates to become lower. They wait for prices to drop. They wait for their market to make sense. But markets don't exist to make individuals comfortable. They just don't. They exist to allocate risk, and risk never fully disappears. Even in the best markets, something is wrong. In a low rate environment, prices are high. Competition, brutal. In a high rate environment, affordability feels tight and uncertainty feels loud. There is no environment where everything is easy. That's the first truth most people need to avoid. Every market has a cost. The cost is not whether a market is good or bad. The question is which cost you're willing to pay. Low rates often mean high prices, multiple offers, waived contingencies, emotional bidding wars. Higher rates often mean lower competition, seller concessions, negotiation leverage, creative financing. But here's the thing, neither environment is perfect. They're just different. The mistake is waiting for the one that doesn't exist. Another reason the perfect time myth is dangerous is because it assumes buying is a market decision. It's not. It's a personal decision with market constraints. Markets don't buy houses, people do. And people live inside payments, not headlines. The right time to buy is when the payment works, the structure fits, and the risk is understood. And that's it. Everything else is noise. Most people tend to do the opposite. They wait for the market conditions to change first, then they check their numbers, and that's backwards. Smart buyers do the math first. They ask, all right, what payment fits my life? How long do I plan to stay in this house? What happens if rate changes? What happens if my income changes? What flexibility do I need? Once those questions are answered, timing becomes a little less emotional. Another thing people misunderstand about timing is that markets move faster than individuals. By the time a perfect market becomes obvious, it's long gone. Rates move ahead of news. Prices move ahead of sentiment. Competition returns before confidence does. That's why people who wait for confirmation usually buy late. They feel safer, but they do pay for it. Here's something most people don't think about. Waiting doesn't freeze your situation. It changes it. Rent increases. Savings get diluted by inflation. Life progresses. Waiting has momentum. It's not neutral. Every year you don't buy, the bar moves. Sometimes up, sometimes sideways, rarely down in a meaningful way. This is why people who often wait feel like they're running in place. They're not failing. They're just stuck waiting for a condition that never fully arrives. Another misconception is that buying in uncertainty is reckless. It's not. Buying blindly is reckless. Buying with clarity is not. Uncertainty is the default state of markets. Certainty is an illusion. The buyers who succeed long-term don't try to eliminate uncertainty. They just kind of wiggle around it. They assume rates will move, which they will. They assume life will change, which it will. They assume markets will cycle, which they do. So they choose structures that allow adjustment. They do not need perfect conditions. They need survivable ones. That is where payment strategy tends to matter more. If the payment is tight, timing feels scary. If the payment is comfortable, timing feels manageable. People who stretch to buy need perfect conditions. People who buy within their means can handle imperfect ones. I think that's a massive difference. Another mistake people make is thinking buying later is automatically safer. Later often means higher prices, shorter timelines, more urgency, fewer options. Earlier, when done responsibly and maybe contrarian, means more flexibility, more time, more optionality, more control. Time is an asset in housing. Buying earlier gives you more of it. Time to refinance, time to adjust or pivot, time to let income grow. Waiting compresses time. Compressed time increases pressure. Pressure leads to worse decisions. This is why people who waited through uncertain markets often end up buying in worse conditions. Not because they were wrong to wait, but because waiting didn't solve the underlying question. The underlying question is never, is the market perfect? It's always, does this work for me? Another trap of the perfect timing myth is comparison. People look back and say, if I had only bought in 2019 or 2012 or 2020, that's hindsight. At the time, those moments didn't feel perfect. 2019 felt late. 2012 felt risky. 2020 felt terrifying. Every good buying opportunity feels uncomfortable in real time. That's the nature of any opportunity. If it felt obvious, it would already be priced in. This is why confident buyers focus on fundamentals and not feelings. They look at payment sustainability, cash reserves, job stability, long-term demand. They don't try to guess bottoms. It's a bit of a pendulum, right? Then they try to avoid fragility, because fragility is what ruins people in housing. It's never fully the rate that ruins people. It's not the prices. It's not fragility. Fragility buyers need everything to go right. Resilient buyers can handle things going wrong. The goal isn't to buy at the perfect time. The goal is to buy in a way that allows you to adapt. That's the shift most people need to make. Timing obsession comes from fear of regret. People don't want to look back and feel stupid, but regret in housing usually doesn't come from timing. It comes from structure, from payments that are too tight, from no reserves, from no flexibility. Very few people regret buying a home that they could comfortably afford. Many people regret loans that made them feel trapped. That's why education matters. Education turns a scary decision into a manageable one. When you understand how loans work, which is what I'm trying to do for you today, how rates move, and how markets behave, which I'm also trying to do for you, timing loses its power over you. You stop asking, is the right time now? And you start asking better questions. Does this fit my life? Does this fit my timeline? Does this fit my risk tolerance? Those questions don't depend on headlines. They depend on you. So here's the truth. There is no green light that turns on you and tells you to go. There is no moment when fear disappears. The people who successfully accept that uncertainty as part of the process, they don't wait for uncertainty. They build confidence through understanding. And once confidence is there, action becomes possible and a little bit easier, even in imperfect conditions. That's how people move forward while others tend to wait. Not because they're reckless, I know I keep saying that, but because they're informed. The perfect time to buy a home, it just doesn't exist. But the right time does, and it starts with clarity, not prediction. That's the foundation everything is built on.